Today we're going to be upping our game when it comes to the most underappreciated, overlooked Dungeons & Dragons gaming accessory. That's right, I'm not talking about your imagination. I'm talking about pens. So let's 3D print a cool one. There are all sorts of accessories that we can use when we are playing RPG. There are dice and dice trays and dice towers and character sheets and books and all sorts of things that we need when we play a game. Most of us choose these accessories either because they are utilitarian and convenient or help us organize, or because they have an aesthetic and they make us feel a certain way. And for me, these accessories and gathering them up and putting them together, they represent what I would call a uniform for playing the game. Just like a mountain biker puts on a jersey and a helmet before he goes down the hill, all these accessories act as sort of our uniform. And they help us get into the right headspace when we go to play the game. If you're like me, I like to choose accessories that match the personalities of the characters I play. For instance, one of my oldest characters is a feral, ghoulish fox. And they are not scared of creepy, cursed, disgusting things, and oftentimes they find humor in grossing the other party members out. And that's why I've created a character sheet for them. It's meant to invoke the feeling of something that character would carry with them. It even has some dangling teeth, and it looks like it was crudely stitched together out of flesh and dead animals. Likewise, I even carry to the table this magic wand that the character gathered from a swamp witch. Now, nobody in the party actually knows what this wand does, and it seems cursed. And I like to bring it with me just to let everybody know that my character has control of this thing. We don't know what it does, and they could use it at any time. There's one item, though, that I think gets overlooked completely. And I don't know why it gets overlooked, but that is the pen or the pencil. I don't think my ghoulish fox character is going to be carrying a Bic number 2 mechanical pencil with them, and it ruins the immersion for me. So today I want to make a writing utensil that I think my character would be using. I want to make it a little bit weird, a little bit disgusting, and I want it to match the aesthetic that I have already worked so hard to craft. If you guys like playing games on the tabletop, well, I like making crafts for them. So if that's the sort of thing you're into, make sure you hit like and subscribe. Let's continue on. So my mom has been making pens, and I didn't know that was a thing you could do. And she told me, well, you can just go down to the store, Rockler in this case, and you can just buy pen kits. And so I went down there and I checked them out, and I bought a whole bunch of these pen kits. The cheapest one is $2.99. Really funny story. They intend these to be used with like a wood lathe, and so the nice older gentleman that was helping me could not quite understand that I was going to be 3D printing a pen, and he kept trying to sell me the bushings that you're supposed to use to connect these to a lathe. You don't need them. You can just get the pen kit. You don't need any of the extra bushings, as long as you're not using a lathe, of course. Also, what I noticed is that the selection is kind of skewed towards guns. Just like a lot of guns. Like you can get pens with like rifles and that look like bullets, and then other than the guns, there was like a lot of sports, like football and baseball and stuff. I don't know. Maybe that's the type of people that like homemade pens really like guns too. Maybe that's I I'm not sure, but there were not a lot of options for like a fantasy look. I did find this really cool setup that had a very ornate pattern on it. So I picked that one up, and that one was a little bit more expensive. That was like 16, 17 bucks. All right, so off to Blender. Now I'm just taking the measurements that the pen kit provided there. It needs this is the slimline kit I'm going to be using. It needs a 7mm internal diameter, and then the length of this needs to be 52mm. And so I did that with a simple Boolean operation just to make the cylinder. And then I'm going to add in a little bit of a flare. This is really easy, pretty basic Blender modeling stuff. I don't want to make a full Blender tutorial, but the hardest part is now assembling this. So I got the prints out the printer. These are quick and dirty prints. The first step really is to sand these brass tubes and then give them some super glue and slide them in to the pieces of the pen. Here's the scary part, is you need to press these end pieces in, and the whole time I'm doing this, I'm thinking this is going to break. I was able to press this in and no problem at all. And they make a tool for pressing these things in. Tool's like $70. I'm not gonna pay that. I had this big old clamp laying around, and this clamp worked all right. I think if you had like a vise or something, it would be a lot easier. Now the thing is once you get these started, they go in really easily. There isn't a lot of force here. So after like the first one, I'm not worried anymore about cracking these. This is pretty easy. We have a working pen, and this is really quick. Maybe 3 hours for from modeling time to completed pen. So let's do something a little bit more complicated. So on this next one, I decided to get a little bit more complicated. There were a couple other things I needed to consider too. This one has an 8mm inside diameter, and then the top is not the identical length to the bottom. It has to actually be a little bit shorter. So I used my little trick with the displacement to add that texture onto the pen here. And then I went in manually and actually sculpted and cleaned up some things. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to do some modeling like this to the texture. I got it off ArtStation, and the guy that makes it has all sorts of cool stuff, so I'll leave a link in the description for that. And now they're off of the 3D printer, and the assembly is pretty similar to the original, to the first one we did. Okay, this turned out awesome, and I will definitely be carrying this to all my games from now on. So I'm going to put an affiliate link for all the pen kits down in the description. You can get them at Rockler if you have one locally. Otherwise, they are available on Amazon. So I'll put the same ones that I got with an Amazon link below. Hey, and if you guys enjoyed this, make sure you hit that like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time for some more arts and crafts, tabletop gaming style.